Readjusting your lens of perception to align itself with truth. Now, I'm going to try and give away a whole heap here, so if you can stick with this one and concentrate and probably play it back a few times, I think you'll get a huge amount out of this, and you may find yourself being able to set yourself free from a whole bunch of different situations. Now, it's your lens of perception, it's the way that you see the world and you interpret different situations that determines your experience of life. Your perception literally determines the reality that you experience. Now, perception only comes from your belief system. It's what you believe that makes your perception. And for that reason, the perception is never accurate. Perception literally just goes in and confirms all the reasons why what you believe is correct. That's literally all perception does. It just confirms what you believe. Now, if you want to try and break out of the experience of life that you're in, if that includes depression or anxiety or low self-worth, low self-esteem, whatever it is you experience, guilt, shame, whatever, however it is you're suffering emotionally or whatever you're dealing with, if you want to get past that, you need to be able to change what you perceive. You need to be able to change that, and the root cause of that will be what you believe. Now, to start with, we need to stop believing in the perception. We need to stop believing in what we are perceiving. Because if I'm perceiving something that's false, as in if I'm perceiving any of those lower level emotions, well, none of those emotions exist in the truth of the perfect universe. So the truth is that the universe is perfect all the time. There's no chance, there's no accident, everything is purposeful, and everything works for your highest good. So in the real reality, everything is perfect. The only time that you don't experience that is when your belief system aligns with something else. If your belief system aligns with something else, well, your perception will find all the reasons why what you believe is correct, and you will absolutely experience something else. If you want to experience that perfection, well, then you need to be aligned with truth. Your mind would need to be 100% aligned with truth and have that and only that as your belief system. And then your perception will go in and begin to confirm for you why that truth is correct. And your experience of life will be very, very different. Now, to let go of the habitual perception that you experience, the first step is, as I said, to understand that your lens of perception is crooked, and you need to let go of your habitual understanding of things. And so a really true statement that you can make that is really powerful is to simply say, I don't know the meaning of anything I perceive, because my perception is incredibly limited. It's always partial. I'm only ever perceiving just a fraction of a percentage of the information in any given moment. And with that fraction of a percentage of information, I'm assigning meaning to things. I'm judging things and telling myself I know what is true. I'm assigning truth to whatever sensory noise I'm experiencing. And then I go and try and use all that information to try and understand the world. And I'm literally just making it up as I go along. So if I can understand that I don't know the meaning of anything I perceive, and it's my perception, it's what I perceive that drives my thought process, well, if I'm now understanding that my perception is incredibly inaccurate, then that would mean that not one thought that I have is wholly true. And if I can be really humble and make those statements, I'm taking a huge step towards emptying the mind of past understanding and creating a thirst for knowledge in the mind. All of a sudden, my mind is going to be motivated to learn truth. It's going to be ready and looking for something more. So that's two really powerful statements you can make to just begin to shift your perception in any given situation. Now, once you're in a particular situation, and this is really key because there are a lot of people out there who are really well-meaning healers, practitioners, therapists who will tell you if you're in a challenging situation of life that perception is a choice and you're choosing that situation. You're choosing the experience of life. And when you go and tell someone that who's dealing with pain or lower level emotions or suffering of any kind, you're probably going to get a pretty strong reaction back. Most people are going to feel like they need to kind of attack that and be really aggressive and really challenge it because it sounds accusatory, and it's absolutely not. But the truth is, they're actually right. Everything in life is a choice, including perception. Perception is 100% a choice. Now, you may never have experienced that. You may never have realized that. What you're doing is you're just going through life and experiencing sensory noise, and whatever the sensory noise that happens to be loudest, you believe. Whatever you see in front of you, you believe. But the visible spectrum is literally 1%. It's 1% of what's out there in front of you. And with that 1%, you're convinced you know what's going on. You're literally getting 1%. You can't form an accurate judgment of anything on 1% of the information. So again, I don't know the meaning of anything I perceive. What I perhaps don't realize is that I don't have to actually accept the perception that I'm presented with, because that's just my habitual understanding of the world that suits the belief system that I've come up with based on the wounds that I've experienced, based on the wounds of my parents and my ancestors and other people around them and all of their traumatic experiences. And that becomes the lens by which I understand the world. That is literally just a habit. It is nothing more than a habit. So your perception is a choice. And if you're someone who's done work with me, then literally nearly everybody who's done a session with me, at least one session with me, will have experienced this, where you can literally just reshape your entire world by understanding you don't have to accept the perception that you've always had, and you can completely change your entire experience of life by beginning to realign your perception with truth. And that is a very real thing. But we also need to acknowledge that truth can't be detailed, it can't be explained. So as much as I want to be well-meaning and try and give you that truth and explain it to you, it's something that you actually have to experience. And when you experience it, well, then that begins to melt all that habitual perception away. So as helpful as this is, my hope is that it shifts you towards the true healing that you may actually need and require, and then where you'll actually get the greatest possible benefit. But take this truth and do the very best you can with it, because I'll give you a few more tips still here to go. So in any given situation, if you experience lower level emotions that feel imperfect, well, if they're not aligned with the truth of the perfection of the universe, well, then they're not true. So you can question them. You can question them by saying, is this real? Is this actually true? Is what I am perceiving actually true? Now, when you ask for truth, you can completely change your world. It's a whole lot faster if you shift your belief system first, because if I just stay in my regular waking level of consciousness and just ask for truth, and then go searching into the conscious mind, well, my conscious mind is just going to go digging through what I already believe, which is what created the bad situation in the first place, and it's going to tell me that the bad feelings are correct. Now, what I really want to do is slow down and ask for truth. Now, how you want to slow down is you want to change your breathing. You can go for the physiological side, which is a nose inhale and then a second nose inhale. I tend to really like to try and go to brain-heart coherence. If you can go to heart-brain coherence, breathe in for 6, breathe out for 6. Just breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose. Breathe in for 6, out for 6. Begin to align your mind with higher level emotions like love, gratitude, compassion. And you can place your hand on your heart. And when you place your hand on your heart, you're drawing your attention to the heart. And the heart has a cluster of around 40,000 neurons, which are connected to truth. And you can get a very different answer there. But when you ask yourself for truth, what you are not doing, you are not asking a question with your conscious mind and searching for an answer in the conscious mind. You're asking a question with the conscious mind, and you're waiting for an answer from the subconscious mind. You're not going to try and answer it with the conscious mind, which is aligned with your belief system, which created the poor perception in the first place. You can literally slow down and ask, what is the truth of this situation? Is this real? Is this stress that I'm feeling real, or is it an illusion? Is it real or is it false? Is it real or is it coming from a program that's literally running in my mind? And then I can simply breathe in for 6, breathe out for 6, put my hand on my heart, and I can slow down and I can wait for a physiological response from my body. And when I notice that the stress begins to drop, well, straight away I know that that entire situation was an illusion, because if it was true, truth is eternal, truth doesn't change. So if it was true, me asking that question and slowing down and breathing and putting my hand on my heart would not affect anything, because truth does not change. As soon as you know that it's an illusion, you can begin to repeat the processing, and you can start to work your way through it. And you can take all the time you want, because if it's an illusion, it's not real. If it's not real, it can't have any real effect. If it can't have any real effect, it can't hurt you. So you can literally take all the time that you want to just go slowly through it and dissolve as much as you possibly can. But the answer to healing all of this stuff is to actually do true healing, because when you do that and you change your belief system, you can completely change the perception, you can completely change your experience of life, and then you can literally just go through life just asking, is this real or is this not real? And things will change straight away because you're connecting with the new beliefs that you already have. So I highly recommend you follow the techniques that I've given you. Slow down, understand that perception is a choice. Everything you experience in life is actually a choice. And when you slow down and you actually ask for the truth, you can get a very different answer and a very different experience of life than the habitual one that you were simply just accepting without question.